you lying to me?
Son of a bitch! You did not!
If you can't tell when a seller is lying to you over the phone, it opens you up to wasted time, frustration, and it costs you opportunities and money. And we don't want that. So today I'm gonna show you 5 ways a seller can trick you over the phone. And then I'm gonna give you 3 of my own tricks on how I confirm if they're lying or not.
Oh, I've had 2 $500,000 offers to do that, and I don't want to go that route.
Got it.
I'm just not too interested in it. Just want to finalize everything, and kind of do my own thing and not have to worry about anything,
This was from a follow-up call that I made for a new student partner last week. So is the seller lying or telling the truth? What do you think? It's pretty easy to tell whether they're lying or not with just one simple trick. But if you have all 3 of my tricks to work with, you'll never be deceived by a seller again, as soon as you hit the like button. If you're dealing with a seller face-to-face, it's much easier to detect lies because you can see things like a break in eye contact during key details. You can see them fidgeting or shrinking body language or hiding their hands. And then there's duper's delight. You heard of this? Yeah, it's a thrill that some people get when they successfully cheat or deceive someone. And they usually give themselves away with a little smirk at an inappropriate moment. Here, watch this short clip from an interview of Diane Downs recalling the night that she drove her children to the hospital.
When I close my eyes, I can see Christy reaching her hand out to me while I'm driving, and the blood just keep coming out of her mouth. And that, maybe it'll fade too with time, but I don't think so. That haunts me the most.
Did she do it? That smirk, that's a textbook example of duper's delight. And yes, she did do it, by the way. Sentenced to life, plus 50. Now, none of these on their own guarantee someone is lying, but when you're witnessing several of them simultaneously, they can be very reliable indicators. But these tells here are irrelevant initially because our first contact is almost always on the phone with the seller. You can't see them, so you have to rely exclusively on audible cues. And this is important because, you've probably heard the expression that buyers are liars. And this may surprise you, but sellers are scared. And that's why they lie too. And here's why. You see, 93% of all sellers will use an agent to sell their home. But that 7% that sell their homes to investors like us do so because a traditional sale through an agent isn't the best solution for them. It takes too long, it's too inconvenient, whatever it may be. They got bigger fish to fry in their lives that typically revolve around some sort of financial distress, personal distress, or the property itself is in distress. When we talk to them, they're typically not on a winning streak at the moment. Life will kick us all in the teeth every now and then. No one is immune to that.
Right.
And all they're doing when they're talking to us is just trying to determine if that little postcard that they received in the mail is legit or not. So as a defense mechanism, sellers aren't always truthful. And over the phone, these are 5 red flags that I commonly hear that suggest that a seller might be lying to me. Number 1, the use of vague, exaggerated language. Like if the seller said, "The houses around here are selling like hotcakes." That's pretty vague. At the same time, also over the top. I mean, when you say like hotcakes, what does that really mean specifically? Or 2, the use of qualifying statements. Matt, to be honest with you, I don't know when that leak started. Matt, to tell you the truth, we fixed the electrical panel just last week. Or Matt, in total transparency, I've never been in the attic. When I hear a sentence beginning with, "to be honest," I'm on guard for what I hear next, to be not honest. Or ironically, and most people don't believe this, but another audible cue is number 3, an overly positive attitude with an unwillingness to schedule a next step. That can be a warning. Most people want to avoid confrontation at all costs. They don't like it. So their defense mechanism is to just be nice and just kind of go with the flow.
Just smile and wave, boys.
They'll stroke your ego, they'll be receptive to your suggestions, in many cases even seem to befriend you. Yet it will be impossible for you to get a commitment for the next step. And as soon as they get a chance, they ghost you. And then there's number 4, soft objections. Like, "I want to think about it. I have to ask my spouse. Let me check with my lawyer," or "I'm gonna pray on it." Sometimes they are delay tactics, and sometimes they're just another way of saying no. And number 5, filler words, noises, and hesitations, like, or repeatedly clearing their throat, or they're just really slow to answer. You see, liars, they need time to think about their lies, and they'll do a number of things to buy a few more seconds before they speak. So the next time you talk to a seller over the phone, if you sense any of that is going on, I've got 3 tricks for you to flush out the lies and separate them from the truth. The first one is a transition agreement. The second one is open-ended impact questions. And number 3 is negative reversing. So the first one, the transition agreement. You know, I had texted the seller prior to me calling, and he replied right away that he had 15 minutes to talk. So here, take a listen. Hey,
It is.
I know you don't have much time, and I really don't either, but I wanted to get back to you. I got just a little note here with some scribble on it from you talked to her about selling your house.
Oh, yeah. We've been so busy I haven't had a chance to chat back with her. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the one who, I got the boring job over here who gets to write the checks, and we get deals across our desk, and so we just kind of have to decide which ones we're going to buy this week. And she thought this would be a good one. I can't really read her writing. Can you kind of bring me up to speed of where you guys left off? Do you remember? I borrowed this version of a transition agreement from Pace Morby. I really like it, and I'm going to give him credit for it 2 more times, and then it's mine. I think that's the rule. As you can hear, it breaks down barriers really quickly. And as you will hear, it gets them to open up because 1, it positions me as an authority, the guy with the checkbook. And 2, it positions me as somewhat of a bean counter and not a salesman. That's why Pace's approach works so well. It's disarming. Number 3, it positions me as the reluctant buyer. Because, you know, I've got a bunch of leads here on my desk and I can't buy them all. So this is just a quick call, Mr. Seller, to see if yours is a good fit, if I can buy yours this week. 3 ingredients that make for a good transition agreement. 1, tell the seller what's next. 2, give them the possible outcomes and give them at least 2. And 3, let them know whichever outcome that they choose, it's 100% okay with me. You see, the mindset here is not to convince the seller to sell, but rather get the seller to convince me to buy. In the transition agreement, it lays the groundwork for this positioning. And because it does, when I ask, can you bring me up to speed? They do, and typically, truthfully.
I kind of told her about the house. It's on a ½ acre. It's a 3-bedroom. The only thing left to do on it is we pulled the carpet out of the basement. We repainted everything, and we left the carpet out because we felt, well, the new owners will probably want to do either wood or carpet. We didn't know, so we just left it out. And the 3rd bedroom is down in the basement, and it just needs to be framed and sheetrocked.
So I'm taking notes of the repairs that'll be needed. And note that these are coming from the seller. This is really important because it's this information that I'm going to use to put the offer together. If I tell the seller what needs to be repaired, they doubt it. If I can get the seller to tell me, they believe it. Now you'll hear me continue by asking open-ended questions, where a yes or no it won't do. Open-ended questions, they encourage the seller to share their situation in detail. So they'll have to talk more, and the more that they talk, the more you'll learn about what they need, and the greater the rapport that you'll build, the more objections that'll be uncovered, and the more opportunity that they're given to mix up their facts. A definite sign of deception.
Has a attached garage to it. Has a large shop out back. It's not a pole barn. It's a custom-built metal framed shop, 2 doors, plumbed with air, heat, and air throughout the shop, as well as 110, 220. Then there's another outbuilding. It's another steel building. Could be used for another car to be parked in it. It's large enough for that, or all the lawn equipment or whatever. I had also the roof's been replaced. I replaced it, and I did a brand new HVAC in it, the entire house. Fairly modern, everything's painted, it's ready to go.
Deception and double deception.
All right, still listening. And this is key to building rapport. Asking questions and then actually listening to the answers. You gotta listen to the answers. Listen till it hurts. This is what Mercedes and I do, because for most people, nobody does listen to them. And people like people that do listen to them. You see, people sell to people they know, like, and trust. And I find that if you're likable, the knowing and the trusting, they just kind of fall in line automatically. So I'm listening and I'm taking notes. He's telling me now everything that he thinks makes the property more valuable. But what he's sharing doesn't make it that much more valuable. Because we know when it comes to a property's value, The majority of it is in its location, and that's fixed. Nobody has any control over that. It is where it is. You can't just pick up the house and go put it on the beach in Malibu. And the second biggest impact of a property's value is the size, and that's fixed too. Neither the seller nor the buyer have any control over that either, unless the size is going to change before you close. So everything he's telling me about the amenities and the condition has the least impact on the property's value, but it's the only thing the seller does have control over. So that's what they talk about.
So it's actually been rented. I rented it to one couple for about a year, not quite a year, I guess. $2,900 a month is what it was bringing, and we're helping another couple out right now, but they're on a month-and-month because we told them we were going to sell it, and they pay $2,500 a month, and it's got a sprinkling system. That's about it with it. It's just kind of a turnkey, either rent it or turn and sell it or whatever, you know.
I now know it's a rental with a tenant in place, and I know what they're paying. I know the rent. And this is really important because this is one of 4 numbers that I need to put an offer together. The other 3 are ARV, after repair value, the rehab cost it's going to take to get the ARV on the open market, and the last number I need is the seller's asking price.
I have my real estate agent because we were considering just throwing it on the market.
Ding, ding, ding. He has an agent and has considered listing. Now, this isn't a deal breaker, but it does say a lot to their motivation, meaning he wants to sell, but it's not sounding like he needs to sell. And this is important because the foundation of every deal, it lies within the seller's motivation to sell. The deal is not in the property. The deal is in the seller's motivation.
And I had her pull comps on it to see where we were going to land with it. She wants to start at $475, and I told her, well, if I don't do it and the young couple there that potentially want to buy it, she said I wouldn't sell it any less than $450, and she would just ride it over to them. So that's where I'm at as far as price goes. So
we've got the agent's opinion of value, $475. And we've got his lowest asking price, the seller's asking price, $450, and we know what it will rent for. Now I only need a rehab estimate. And I like to ask the seller's opinion of value if all the repairs were completed. And then I'll ask the seller's opinion of what it would cost to fix everything to get to that value, to that ARV. If you were to go ahead and, kind of fix these things that you haven't gotten to, like in the basement, right? And then the flooring and stuff. Do you have an idea of what what properties like that are selling for now after it would have been all done?
Well, I would guess probably, when I originally bought it, my real estate agent said don't sell for less than $500,000 once it's all taken care of. And of course, we weren't on that path at that time. I wasn't looking for a flip.
He wasn't looking for a flip. That pretty much tells me he's also an investor, which can be a good thing because they tend to be less attached emotionally to a property. Or it could be a bad thing, where they're jaded and closed-minded. And that can be because either they're financially stable and they're just competitive with other investors, or they're financially unstable and they're just pissed off and they don't want to see another investor benefit from their misfortune. But at this point, I'm not detecting any distress or motivation, but I'm still going to dig a little bit to try and discover that motivation. Now, if I were to ask the seller, why are you selling? That typically will not get you the answer that you're looking for, or even a truthful one. So when it's time for me to speak here, listen to how I asked.
I had a couple that potentially was going to buy my business and move into there and run the business. And we were going to sell it to them and just give them a really good deal on it. And that's why I put a new roof on it. I did the HVAC. And of course, the market has softened a little bit. And I think that's why she's going, well, maybe we better do $475. And that was just recent. We pulled the comps, not more than a month ago. So. Okay. And
I
mean, most of the investors are coming in without a real estate agent.
Right.
Number of them, well, I shouldn't say a number of them. A couple of the guys that are interested, they're looking for rental property. They want to just turn and rent it, which I get. I mean, it's a good place to rent. And so, yeah, okay. We've had a couple offers, so.
Got it. Well, it sounds like a good property. Sounds like something that we would be interested in, and it sounds like you got other interests as well. Why would you consider selling it? So I softened the question by complimenting the property, acknowledging other investor interest, and then asked why he'd consider selling such a nice property. You see, it's embedded in that phrasing sequence that he gives me the reason he's selling. Nobody would sell a nice property just for the hell of it.
Well, I'm up in age. My wife retired a year ago, and I've actually got my business up for sale right now, and we're retiring. We're just, I got to get rid of that property. I got another one. My primary residence, I'm gonna be selling it, and I'm gonna be selling my building up in Tremont. I've been renting that for a number of years to a guy, and so I'm just kind of liquidating and moving out of Utah is what my plan is.
So he's not distressed in any way. Actually sounds like he's doing pretty good for himself. He's in a very stable position and has just a really simple goal to liquidate. And typically I'd explore a little deeper to confirm that he knows his options when it comes to selling and the benefits of an installment sale. But he's a successful businessman and has a number of real estate investment properties, and he just wants to move on and enjoy the rest of his life. So I'm just gonna pull back a little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of come in from another direction at another angle. Got it. Well, congratulations. You don't sound that old, so.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what old is, so. So I hope I get out and I'm done, so.
Okay, so if, it sounds like something that might work for us. There's a couple different ways that we could go in and purchase it. But if we did, would there be any mortgage or taxes or liens or anything like that we'd have to pay off?
No, I own it outright.
Outright, free and clear? Okay.
And the renters that are there would be happy to probably stay and sign a lease or 2-year lease, or and they're potential buyers as well. They're actually trying to get qualified to make the purchase, but I don't believe they've got enough time on their job to get it done. They're kind of in their late 20s with a couple kids. And like I said, they've only been there a few months, so we're just trying to give them a break and help them out a little bit. So they potentially could just continue renting. So
yeah, so we're talking to people that are a little bit more in worse shape than you are, and it sounds like you're doing just fine. And there's really one of two ways that we purchase property. We're either going to buy it at a deep discount, and it doesn't sound like you would be down for that. You don't need to do that. But the other way that we'd purchase would be structuring some sort of payment with the seller so we can at least create an income stream. So we have to have an equity position or an income stream. Would you be open to anything like that?
No, I've had two $500,000 offers to do that, and I don't want to go that route.
Got it.
I'm just not too interested in it.
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to finalize everything, and kind of do my own thing and not have to worry about anything,
So there it is. He understands how terms work, and he's already turned down 2 above market terms offers. I mean, it sounds like he's got his mind made up, but I just want to confirm that he's telling the truth and not just a guy with a good poker face or a poker voice.
Poker face!
The best way to flesh out whether the seller is sincere with me is to embrace the reluctant buyer role and push away. If there is a possibility there, they'll pull you back in. If not, hey, they won't. There's a name for this too. It's called negative reversing. It's a reverse psychology selling technique that helps to direct a conversation and test a seller's resolve. And it's done by asking questions and making statements contrary to the goal of closing the deal. Like this. Yeah, I would call your real estate agent and put that on the market then.
Okay.
If I were in your shoes, I'm not going to be the buyer for you.
Okay.
All right, but
works for me.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling, but good luck.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Me telling him to call his real estate agent and that I'm not the buyer for him are the negative reverses. Statements by me that are contrary to the goal. Now, I might have missed an opportunity there by not following up my negative reverse statement with another question like I would normally do. I mean, that's sales 101. You gotta always be asking. I typically do follow up that statement with, but let me ask you, what are you gonna do if your agent doesn't sell it? But I didn't detect any motivation or deception, not even a little bit. So I just skipped it and I'm just gonna move on to the next lead. But I did send him my rejection letter follow-up sequence, which does convert 5% of my no's into eventual yeses. I don't know, we'll see. I'll keep you posted. So what did you notice? What did you learn? Share with me in the comments below. Oh, and if you're curious about how these seller finance deals work, these installment sales, and a very ninja trick of how you can do this without making any payments at all, I pulled this video out special for you to watch next. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.